Hello and good evening, and hello, and I am so delighted that I have invited this very special guest for Women's Day. So first of all, a very happy International Women's Day to all the viewers who are here. And I'm going to be joined very shortly by Guru Pashupati, my teacher, also called as Ashwin Chekava. Guru Pashupati, I'm just waiting for him to come along. And we're going to be talking about some burning questions that I have, and 5 key areas that I want to ask him, and of which health and fitness is obviously the most important one. But it's not just any kind of health and fitness; it's functional health and fitness. It's functional health and fitness that also leads to hormone health and hormone well-being. And one of the things that I've discovered as somebody who's gone through menopause, and when I first started practicing meipadam and Karlakattai, two of these important disciplines of which Guru Pashupati is my teacher, as well as many other spiritual practices that he has taught over the last 9 months that I've known him, is how my health has changed dramatically, and how I have literally improved my fitness, my well-being, my motivation, discipline, perseverance, small habits, my happiness quotient, my ability to handle emotions well. So all of these things have been influenced so positively with my practice that I thought there is no better way than inviting Guruji to come and talk to us and to speak to us about speak to us about these topics. I'm just waiting for Ashwin to join. Okay, he'll be here shortly. So some of the topics I want to talk to him about are women's exercise, women's health and fitness, exercise, and how it influences muscle strength. Yes, super. Yes.
Hi,
Hey.
hi.
Hi, Ashwin. I'm so delighted to be with you here. So
Same
exciting.
here.
So, namaste, namaskaram,
Namaste.
and my guru, wonderful guru. And I got something to show you, show everybody. My new Karlakattai is here.
Awesome. Looks great.
So delighted, and I can't wait to start practicing with this. So, Guru Pashupati is a Himalayan yogi, and his mission has been to inspire health and fitness as a route through to spirituality and development of not just our physical strengths, our emotional strengths, our spiritual strengths. And I have been one of his students since May last year, and I have experienced some of the amazing benefits of the practices and of his teaching. And his wisdom shines through in every single class that I do with him, and it inspires me to keep going and keep practicing more. And I for sure know that this is a practice that I can never ever give up. So I'm so delighted to be able to talk to you and address, to ask you some of my burning questions. Are you ready?
Great, great, great. Let's get started then.
Super. So I have 5 areas that I
Hmm.
would like to address. The first one is about women's fitness,
Okay.
especially in the area of exercise for muscle strength, for
Hmm.
balance,
Hmm.
and bone health, which is a critical factor for a lot of women. And it's a critical factor not just because you go through menopause, but
Hmm.
because bone health is a crucial factor right from teenagers. And
Hmm.
the second topic I want to talk about is hormone health in women, particularly thyroid problems, period problems. Women go through issues like menopause. They have post-pregnancy blues. It affects their mental health, premenstrual syndrome. We're seeing a lot of polycystic ovaries today, obesity, poor gut health, poor mental health. Then the third topic I want to talk to you about is sexual dysfunction. You recently posted a wonderful reel about somebody talking about low libido, and it really caught my attention because sexual medicine is one of my areas, and I want to know how do you teach men and women to help with their sexual problems, because it's related to exercise, to diet, to mindset, and how does a disciplined martial arts practice actually help us to prevent sexual problems, and help both our mental health and productivity. And the fourth area I want to talk about is again building habits, these very important habits for productivity and lifestyle. And the last one is relating to, prevention of this all these doubts and worries and concerns we have about incorporating a martial arts practice, to build that discipline, build those habits, build that perseverance, and still enjoy the lifestyle, have the joy and the happiness we want to have. We want to give the family time also, because a lot of women don't do that because they say, oh, my family won't allow me, or I don't have, I can't give dedicated time to such a practice because nobody will allow. So I wanted to address these 5 areas.
Sure,
Is
they're
there
all
any?
very important areas. Yeah, let's get into it for sure.
So, can we go to the first topic? First topic is about exercise for women. So, today, a lot of women, I see them going on marathons, they're focusing on HIIT, HIIT, or they're busy
Mm,
hitting,
mm,
pumping weights. I understand, like, as a gynecologist, I teach a lot of women about importance of muscle strength and bone health and balance, and especially as they go through menopause, the importance of, coordination, because if they have falls and fractures, they're going to have problems. So, can you talk to us a little bit about how women should focus on building these areas, and what is the importance of a practice, a fitness and a functional health practice in
mm.
building these areas?
Well, specifically for women, I think what happens is a lot of women are focused on how they look, but it's very important to understand that your internal organs health is also crucial, and not just the outer surface. So I would say that we need to really worry about what's happening inside the body, and women get an indication of it every time, at least when they are menstruating, they get an indication of their health every time uh, they have their periods, because this reflects a lot on how internally healthy you are. A lot of ladies think that it's mandatory to have pain during periods, or they think that is just normal, that they feel fatigue and they feel tired and they can't function and all that. It's true that that the immune system function drops during this period, but it I would say that it's a very indicative thing. Men don't have this. Men don't get to be aware of their health at all. Women get to be aware once in a month. So that's a good advantage. And I think a lot of women are focused on health also, not just the outside thing. So initially, when I started classes, I would find that the younger women were mostly worried about hair and skin, and how they look, and their figure. But after their 30s, people are really looking for health. They know that external appearance or trying to live up to an ideal that is unreal is really not possible. So I think first we need to understand that when we take our fitness advice, we are taking it from people who are mostly glamour professionals. So they have to look a particular way, and
Yes.
looking that way doesn't have anything to do with health.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, of course, there is a healthy shape. It's not like, you can be obese or something, but there is an ideal shape for you. And I've always insisted that people go to their temples in their area and have a look at all the sculptures of their ancestors. And
Yes.
then they'll realize everyone had a nice round belly. in India, and that was beautiful at one point. Right now, people are obsessed with looking like starvation victims, having
Yeah.
their abdominal muscles showing and all that. So I think we really need to understand that our health and happiness, they go together.
Yes.
If you're healthy, you can be happy, and if you're happy, you can be healthy. Both of these just go together. You can't have one without the other. So I think it's like super important for us to recognize that uh, uh, it's we are I mean, our emotions are interlinked with our health and fitness as well, and having happy emotions is really important. It's the most essential thing that we need to do. So we can't do
Yes.
a workout that doesn't make us happy. We're
Yes.
pushing ourselves emotionally. We At the end of it, if you're not feeling happy at the end of the workout, you're not going to come back to it tomorrow.
Yes.
It's just not going to happen. You'll find an excuse. You'll find something comes in the way, or you'll say, or you might get injuries. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of people get injuries just to avoid workouts. It's
Oh,
a subconscious thing,
okay.
yes.
Right, right.
So, so they just get injured because they don't want to. I have some students who got tired of their workout. They had a lot of injuries till they came to my class, and they started seeing that they're getting a variety of workout. The end, they get a nice relaxation where they're starting to feel that happiness, and that's how they're able to stick to it. So it's I mean, people think that diet is very important, but I just think that um, diet is more about not eating junk. If you just like
Hmm.
avoid junk, it
Yes.
doesn't matter much what you put into your mouth, as long as you have the right kind of gut bacteria to digest it. And that's their job. It's not your job. It's not a human being's job to digest. We can't digest our food, right? It's all done by the bacteria. And finally, even the extraction of ATP, which is finally the molecule that we can use as energy in our muscle cells, that is being done by thousands of mitochondria in each cell.
Yes.
So really, we have nothing to do with our food. If we got the bacteria, we got the employees, the bacteria, they're going to do all the work. We don't really have to do anything. We can just relax.
So we're eating
We're
for the
the owners.
bacteria. We're not
We
eating for
have to
us.
eat for the bacteria, not for ourselves. So people forget this, and then they start feeding their bacteria alcohol. Alcohol kills the bacteria,
Yes.
and
Yes,
smoking
it
kills
does.
your bacteria. And
Caffeine.
there are a lot of food, like too much oil kills the bacteria, too much sugar
Yes.
kills. I mean, overgrows the bacteria. It doesn't kill
Wrong
them; they just
bacteria.
overgrow, and then So you just got to be careful of the fungi, bacteria in your body, and eat for them, and that's about it. It's actually pretty straightforward. Most cultures have already mastered this. Your ancestors knew this instinctively. All animals know this instinctively. Just follow your culture's food habits and you should be fine. Shouldn't be an issue. Anyway,
So why is it that women are so afraid, or why is it that women should not be afraid and they should give importance to muscle strength, balance, bone health,
yeah.
and you make sure that what kind of practice is good for that.
I know it's only in our species that, fitness, muscle strength is not expected out of women.
Right.
Whereas a monkey mother, for example, would have to be strong, put a baby on the back. She has to be stronger than the males. Put a baby as a backpack and then swing around with that extra weight. You
Yes.
know, the male doesn't have to do that. He just has to carry his own weight. So most of the female animals are like double strong and they have more
Right.
stamina.
Okay.
And
So
they're
we don't
like,
have to worry.
yeah, I mean, it's very natural for a woman to have muscles if I know she engages in day-to-day activities like uh, for forever, women have also contributed to hunting, and they've also contributed to gathering. And they've contributed to these muscular activities, and the same muscles that exist in a man also exist in a woman, but they're more slender, and it's different. It's a different quality of muscle. So you can see that men's muscle are suited for short bursts of energy mostly, but women's muscles are suited for longer endurance stuff. So that is why when you have tasks like tea gathering, you don't see a single man doing it because their back will break. They can't do it. They're only used to short bursts. They can't. We're not built for that. We cannot gather tea. All day put the thing and just all day keep plugging. You can't do these repetitive movements. So you'll see that places where there's muscle bursts, like construction workers are largely men, because that's where you need a burst of muscular energy. So there are differences between the male and female muscles and the musculature. And women should not be afraid that they'll start looking like men. It's just impossible unless you go and take male hormones. It's not
Yeah.
possible for you to look like men. And if you see women bodybuilders who look like men, they did not do it with natural means. If you see a natural bodybuilder, she looks great. I mean, she looks feminine and she looks beautiful. And on top of that, she's muscular as well. So there's nothing wrong with having feminine muscles. So remember, you're a woman, you got feminine muscles. You're never going to get masculine muscles. It's just not going to happen. Similarly, a man can only dream of the endurance of feminine muscles, the recovery capacity that feminine muscles have. Because our muscles get damaged and we need rest
Right.
at the end of the day. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wonderful.
this is
Such
something
an
that I've
interesting
noticed.
perspective.
I don't know much about the science about it, but I've been noticing and I've been seeing how I've coached like thousands and thousands of students. So I started teaching martial arts when I was 13 years old. So
Yes.
from
Yes.
then to now, I've trained tens of thousands of students. So then I've noticed this among the men and women. Like initially, I didn't have any background in, uh, you know, exercise physiology, but slowly even though I not studied it formally, I started learning all these things. And so I don't think women need to be afraid at all of putting on muscle. And if you do, it's going to be feminine muscle is different from masculine muscle. Don't worry about it.
Because when you teach, you've taught a lot of organizations, especially women's organizations, hand to hand combat, and
Yes,
um, uh, even in a lot of the classes, some of the training you give is also about hand to hand combat and how to use the skills we are learning with meipadam and Karlakattai. Because it is a warrior form of defense. I mean, what I understand was it's an ancient form. In those times, the population was expected to pitch in. When the king called for people for defenses, everybody was expected to pitch in and fight. They had to be fit
true,
and they had to be up to the mark to basically come back home alive.
true. I mean,
So,
more than kings, it comes from the tribes. So human tribe was about 150 people. And this is how we dominated the planet because all the other apes, like us, like Neanderthals, Neanderthals could only have like 7 people, 7 to 8
right,
people in. That's why we killed them all.
right,
We
okay.
killed we killed Homo erectus, which is larger than us. We killed Neanderthals, who are also much larger than us. We killed these larger people because we could band together in groups. And in those
Right.
times, both men and women had to defend themselves. And slowly, slowly, it started. They started making armies all male,
Mm-hmm.
and because they found that men were more dispensable for the family and for the tribe and all that because they didn't have to have this responsibility of bringing up kids. So men started to I mean you need to send dispensable people to the war because you need to send more. You need to
Right.
send more,
Yes.
and they needed
Yes.
the women to produce the men to get
Yes.
to the war. So they started taking care of the women very much, especially when she's in her childbearing phase. After that, they didn't like really care much.
Yeah.
So, so the whole importance of women is always like centered around men. It's been like that for centuries and centuries, and I hope this changes, and it is changing. So
It
it's
is
really
changing.
great. Like from when I was a kid to now, I can see that there's been a lot of change, and there's been a lot of mutual respect that's happening between the sexes, which was never there before. It was just either you complain or you bitch about each other, or you just like fight each other. It was miserable before. It is getting better. It's
It is
certainly
getting
getting better.
better.
So when I see this all getting better, I think that physical fitness is not just for men. Even though we all the martial arts stories and warrior stories and all, you hardly hear about women warriors. Like
Yes.
this is like, you know,
We look at all the Devis, we listen, we talk about Durga and, Chamundi from Chamundi Gurukulam. So we're talking about all these Devis who are fighters, who are like They're sword wielders, they are stick wielders, they have all kinds of weapons around them. But the
Yeah.
women we meet are not behaving like warriors, not in their lives and not for themselves. So this practice is inculcating that awareness in women.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a consciousness. Being a warrior is actually a consciousness where you take self-responsibility. You say,
Uh-huh.
I'm responsible for for everything that happens to me. I will not blame anybody. I will of course take help of people, but I will not put other people down and I'll not blame them. I will say that I have the power, me along with those who care about me, we all have the power to go somewhere in our lives, to fulfill all of our dreams. And that is where warriorship starts. When you have a dream, you need to protect it. So
Yes.
it's not really for somebody fighting on the border alone. Of course, they're also warriors, right? All our soldiers are warriors. No doubt we have to respect them for what they're doing, and we stay safe because of them. But this is different. It's our dreams that we need to protect. It's not the nation's dreams, it's our dreams as well. So we need to be in a certain frame of discipline. At least we need to be able to manage our time. We need to know like what goes into our day. If we don't have that predictability and that consistency, we're never going to go towards our dreams. They don't drop out of the sky. We've got to work for them. And that's the fun. That's the game. That's why we're here. This is why we came on earth, to band together and go after the dream, isn't it? What else is there to do? I mean, just think about it. What else is there to do? You have to get together with a few people and make a dream and go after it. So you need these warrior skills. You need to have a common culture. You need to have a training ground. You need to come there and get inspired every day, so that you can go and work together on something. So I think if you build an organization of warriors, and you build that culture where you're always meeting up for the war practice. This is practice. This stick and Karlakattai and all of these things. The moment you lift them, you have this. You feel it like you're some character from mythology, some story. It's it's fantastic. Our body language changes to match them.
Yes. Yes.
I'm looking at my own body language from 3 years ago and my body language now. I cannot believe the person that I am now, because after 3 years of this practice, intense practice every day, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours, it's transformed me. So I think it's everyone's dream to have the power to fulfill their dream. It's everyone's need to have the
Yes.
power to fulfill their dream.
Yes.
So nobody is exempt from learning the warrior arts. Is what I'm trying to say. You need to protect it. So don't look for relevance and say I'm never going to fight anyone. It's not about fighting anyone. It's about protecting your time, having the ability to say no to people without being insulting, and having that royal bearing, that when you walk around, people don't push you or walk all over you, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you're just assertive, and you're unfazed, and you're smiling, and you're understanding, you're kind, you're giving. You can be the bigger person because you're not afraid, and
Yes.
you're not afraid to say sorry. You make a mistake, it's no big deal really. You clean it up, and you clean up your mess. You keep going. There's a warrior attitude.
Yes.
Who will not benefit from this? Everybody
Yes.
will. And this is
Particularly
what we need.
women, because they put themselves down so much,
Yeah,
and they're
yeah,
like burdened with the expectations of family,
yeah,
of society, of work, and then they kind of grovel. And there's something awful about this groveling that
yeah.
doesn't allow them to give, to make themselves a priority for health. Health needs prioritizing, doesn't it?
It does. It does. You have to prioritize your health above all else, because if you don't have a full charged battery, then how are you going to help others? So you have to charge your battery first, and then you can, others are like apps on your phone, and you have to charge your battery, right? You start working with other people. So I
So,
think
can you
it's
talk a little bit about these hormonal problems that we're seeing nowadays? All
mm,
the different, like I talk about these 5 Ps. The pollution, petrochemicals, plastics, personal care products, and pesticides. All of this stuff that is contaminating our environment and
mm,
affecting the way, like it's kind of really damaging our health, and it is
Mm,
damaging the way our hormones function with all these endocrine disrupting chemicals. And there's so many girls I see with polycystic ovaries. There's so many women, with where their bellies are bigger than their hips. They've got big
mm,
tummies, and they're
mm,
like in despair because they don't know how to lose it. They've been on diets, multiple diets, on and off, and they would have tried everything and still not able to manage their weight. I mean, I know you've recently done a really, really important talk on weight,
mm,
and how to not feel defeated by all these different tactics we use. So can you tell us a little bit about the value of this particular meipadam, Karlakattai, and the martial arts practice that you teach
mm,
in handling the mindset, because it's not just 5 P's, but it's also a toxic mindset that leads to this kind of inability to release the weight, and
mm.
also this environmental contamination, and what is the right kind of diet or food principles to follow. I know you talked a little bit about bacteria and the gut health, but just a little bit, explain a
Mm,
little bit
mm.
about what's important for hormone health.
Sure, sure. I mean, the 5 Ps are really important. You can't deny it. So, the more petrochemical products and plastics that you use, they have something called xenoestrogens, which can get into our. What are these symptoms? Even men have symptoms. Even women have symptoms.
Yes, yes,
You know. So the we get something called estrogen dominance. So estrogen dominates progesterone, testosterone, and every other sexual hormone because it's coming in as a molecule that your receptors mistake for estrogen, and they start
mm-hmm.
responding to that,
Yes,
right? So one thing is eliminating all this and starting to wear natural fabrics, wear just cotton, have cotton fabrics for your upholstery and all that, or any natural fabric, cotton, jute, silk, whatever. But no, do not go for polyester because it's very convenient to go for polyester. Not every plastic is toxic either, so it's nice to just Google and know which ones you can use. For example, EPA, which we use for our
yes,
mats, it's not toxic.
okay,
So there are some things that, like the resin that's used in water softener, that's not a toxic chemical. So there are some things that are not toxic and some are toxic, and it's important to know the difference. For example, thermocol, which is used in packing everything, like the lesser you handle it, the better, because that can
right,
give you estrogens. Do you know every time you go to, you spend money on your credit card, they print you a bill and then they give you a slip also. Don't
yeah,
touch that thing because it's like full of estrogens.
wow,
Uh, so we have to know which ones are which. And so I don't use plastic buckets. I don't use plastic mugs. In my bathroom, everything's made of steel. I have the heavy steel bucket and the heavy mug, though, even though it's inconvenient. Like I keep, and the only thing plastic that goes into my mouth are the bristles of my brush. So then I stopped doing that also. I started using neem sticks, and it really works. There's a nice neem tree outside my house, and I have really good teeth. They're not
yeah,
like yellow or anything because of the neem. The neem is keeping away all the bad bacteria from my mouth. It keeps my mouth fresh. So there are a lot of
yes,
natural oils. I stopped using soap entirely because soap has a lot of estrogens as well.
yes, it does,
And so I don't use soap at all. I just use some basin powder whenever I need it, and that will just like for my armpits and whatever. The rest of it is cleansed only by water. My clear skin that you see is not without any products used, nothing. And it's like this, it's been like this, and people are like, how is your skin so young? It's because of the exercises that we do, the meipadam. So the meipadam and Karlakattai, when people see it as first glance, I see fitness experts coming to our class, okay, some of them. They look at it for the first time and then they say, oh, these are just warm-up exercises that we already know. You don't know anything, okay? You need to experience what happens. So that you need to sink into it for at least a month. Within a
yes,
month, you'll see hormonal changes happening. Why?
yes,
Because these twisting that we're doing inside is releasing all the fascial knots that don't allow the organs to function, and this is a very
yes,
serious problem. If
yes,
I go on having a constant thought, and you can try this, okay? So just keep an object in front of you, anything. Okay. So I have this box in front of me. Okay. I'm going to keep this box in front of me, and I'm going to think of taking the box. I'm going to think of picking it up. Already, when I think of picking it up, my hip gets activated. I just think of, I don't pick it up. Try it. Muscles from your hip and from your shoulder, everything will get activated, isn't it?
Yes, in anticipation.
It's in anticipation of picking it up. Just a thought. It's not even a
Yes,
verbal thought, it's just an
yes,
intention.
yes.
So our body is responding to our intentions. And what are our intentions? We don't have clarity about our intentions. Our intentions keep
No,
changing
no. Yeah,
every
I
morning.
discovered
Somebody
that as well.
criticizes you for
Yes,
something, you have an intention now to make them pay for that criticism. Or somebody, or you just feel bad and you have an intention to cover up and hide and you just feel uncomfortable. Your intention is to run away. But you can't run
yes,
away, but your intention is to run away, so the muscles have been activated to run away.
yes.
The same muscles which are going to run away, those get activated. And they stay activated. I'm sorry. They stay activated. And you
Right,
don't release them because the intention to run away hasn't gone. So you're sitting in a
right.
1 hour
Okay.
meeting and your intention is to run away.
Yes,
So in this 1 hour meeting, which you didn't want to have, you've constantly tensed your back and you constantly tensed your shoulder muscles, you constantly tense your calf muscles, and you're wondering, why am I in so much pain, right?
yes,
So
yes.
this also happens to the fascia of the internal
Yeah,
organs because the internal organs are afloat because of the fascia attaching them there, right? Otherwise, the heart will fall down to the bottom of the pelvic floor, isn't it? Why, it would just, after every workout, everything would fall down. So everything is staying in its place. The pancreas remains there, the liver remains here, the gallbladder remains here because of fascia holding it there.
right.
And it's this
Yes,
fascia, which is a contractile tissue, you that also responds to your because when you move, look, your fascia has to respond to change the shapes of the internal organs as you change your shape.
yes,
Every time you breathe, the internal organ's shape changes and it comes. So they're very squishy, the internal organs.
yes, yes,
And so when you, I mean, when you cut an animal to eat it, you can see like all the internal organs are squishy. Same for us, and you can see
yes.
the layers of fascia that are there. So we have so many knots in this fascia because we have an intention and we do something else.
Ah,
Most people. So then it's
yes,
opposite muscular reactions, and we don't understand. We think this is just mental. No, everything mental is manifest in your physical body as the intention. As you just saw, right? I thought of picking up this box, and already there's a physical manifestation of that
yes,
intention. It's not even a verbalized thought. I was like, oh, I need to pick it up. It's an
yes.
intention, a non-verbalized intention. How many non-verbalized, unaware intentions do we have? Non-verbalized, unconscious intentions. So many, so many, so
So
many.
many, so many.
And then that is why our hormones don't work also. Because there is pressure on your thyroid, there is
Yes,
pressure on your ovaries, there is pressure on every other organ, that endocrine gland that you have, including inside your brain also, you can build up pressure. Why? Because we get dehydrated. So dehydration is a very important thing to understand. Dehydration means you'll have more water in your body. Where does that water come from? You'll have edema in your body actually when you get dehydrated, or you'll have high blood pressure because water is coming into your body. It's like water is melting from somewhere. Where is it?
right.
The same place where the water is in a cucumber. You cut a cucumber and where's the water? It's nothing is flowing out
No, no, it's
unless
within
the
the.
cucumber upside, but it's 95% water. So
Yes,
where's the water exactly? It's in a gel format.
right.
It's no longer in its liquid format. This is the fourth form of matter. It's called
Yes,
structured
yes,
water.
yes,
Okay, we don't talk about this much. There are four stages of water, and in fact, steam is not the gaseous state of water. It's just hot water because it
right.
has
It's
the properties of
suspended
water.
particles of water.
It's just heated water. But water vapor is the gaseous form. It doesn't make you wet. Water vapor doesn't make
Right,
you wet.
right.
But unless it condenses, while it's in a gas form, it doesn't make you wet. So ice is different property, water is different property, gas different property, and then there is the structured water which is inside your vegetables and also inside us 60 to 70% water. That's what we are.
Yes, yes.
So all of the structured water starts losing its structure when you get dehydrated. Dehydration is the structure losing. So it doesn't matter. You can keep drinking water, 8 glasses, 10
Ha,
glasses,
ha, yes,
and you'll still be dehydrated
yes,
because your body is not like holding on to this water anymore. And this happens because you don't have enough salt.
right.
It also happens because we don't eat enough water. We have to eat the structured water. We have to eat
Okay.
watermelons, cucumbers, celery.
Mm-hmm,
You can
mm-hmm.
make smoothies out of all of these. As long as you're having it with the pulp and not filtering out the pulp, you're getting the structured water.
Right.
And so you should eat more water than you drink. I hardly drink water. I drink about a liter of water. That's it.
Yes.
But
Eating. Yes.
eating the water is very important.
That's
So
how
from
we used
morning,
to. That is how we used to get our water. Our ancestors. They
yeah,
didn't
and
go
this is
around
how
carrying
monkeys get
bottles.
their water too, right? They're not
Yes.
carrying water bottles, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
dogs are getting their water how? Like they're eating something that has the water in it.
Yes.
Animals don't drink so much water like us.
No.
They
No, they
don't
don't.
have a concept of water bottles at all. I mean, monkeys are smart enough to use our water bottles, but they
Yes.
don't.
Yeah. They don't.
They don't
They
need
don't.
it. They just have a sip whenever they need it. So we should also understand that estrogen is there in our water. And this is the craziest part. So please get an RO. No matter what bad things you heard about an RO, it's the only defense we have against estrogen in the water.
Yes.
So people
Yes.
are drinking the water with a UV filter. They say, I'm killing the bacteria. Yes, you are. You're killing the fungi and the bacteria. Very good, congratulations. But you've not killed the estrogen.
No.
So the estrogen molecule is very much there. Along
Yes.
with it, glyphosate, which is another,
Yes.
you know about the tight junctions, right? Like the
Yes.
skin and the internal
Yes.
gastrointestinal tract are all these tight junctions,
Yes.
and they are separating our insides from our outsides.
Yes.
So
Yes.
basically, we are a big donut,
Yeah.
and we have the inner skin
Inside and
from the
outside.
mouth to
Yeah.
the anus,
And
and the
inside is
outer
actually
skin.
outside.
Yeah, we are inside out, so we're like this big, we're actually a big cavity. So
Yes.
all the lining of that cavity have something called smart gates. And these are called the tight junctions. They're like smart gates. They let in the nutrients, but they keep out the toxins. But glyphosate disrupts the ability of these tight junctions to know which is a toxin and which is a nutrient.
Right.
So it indiscriminately destroys that ability for it to discriminate, and then anything can come into our bodies, and that's how people get skin issues and all that. You know, almonds have a lot of glyphosate, like a lot of it.
Really?
Yeah. So people who shift these California almonds, if you're getting organic ones, they're fine. But California almonds are sprayed a lot with glyphosate. So we need to know which vegetables have glyphosate. I said, I'm not going to
Yes.
bother to find out. I'm just going to eat organic. And that's why I
Okay.
have really
Yes.
good health, because I don't get glyphosate and I have an RO installed. I'm getting rid of all the estrogen, which is there, and I eat my water. So these things are all good for hormonal balance. We have to
Yes.
really watch out for the water, what we drink, and also the water we bathe in. You know, you can't remove estrogens from that, but at least I have something which structures the water which I bathe in. One of my students, Ashwin, he kind of manufactures this
Right.
unit which creates structure inside the water. So
Wow.
the kind of water that I'm bathing with is also different. That's why my hair
Right.
is really good, my skin's really good. Uh, we need to take care of these things. But these are all just physical stuff. Internally, emotionally, if you're disturbed and you're holding on, emotional disturbance means disturbed fascia inside. It's putting in indiscriminate pressure on your thyroid, first of all. There's a lot of women have thyroid imbalances. And it's a mechanical issue, which is resulting from intentions that are not executed. Like,
Because one of
every
the
time.
most amazing things that happened to my students after I started teaching meipadam was the movements that we have in meipadam, the almost all of them reported, wow, I have so much energy. I mean, one of my students says, I used to be this kind of person who was so depressed, anxious, and by the end of the day, suddenly, within a week of practicing my padam, her husband said, oh, you know what? You started singing when you're cooking in the evening. You never used to do that. And that is so fascinating. And she has more energy and she has more vitality. And she says, I'm so much happier. How does that happen? By doing these twisting movements. Because there are people, even when we give trial classes, there are people who come for one class and say, like you experience, they say, oh, this is just a warm-up for us. It's not. This is not physical exercise. Can you tell us like that concept? Just explain it because you explain it the best. I really want to talk about
So
that.
this is also working on a very quantum phenomenon that is happening. Look, plants have something called chloroplasts, right?
Yes.
Chloroplasts. And chloroplasts are like what it's like mitochondria. It's a
Yes.
two-celled bacterium which is living inside the plants. And the main function of the chloroplast is to take the sunlight and store it as an energy in its carbon bonds. So that's the amazing thing about plants. They take this stored energy and they put it into their roots, they put it into their branches, they put it into their leaves, they put it into their fruits. And so when we eat the roots, leaves, branches, fruits of plants, we are also, I mean, not the branches are mostly a transmission system. And the Karlakattai is made out of that branch, right?
Yes.
Every
Yes.
Karlakattai is made out of the tree trunk. So,
Yes. I saw the leaflet. The end, and all
yeah,
of the wonderful.
it is an
Uh,
immaculate micro tunneling structure that is existent within every piece of wood. And that's why we don't put polish on it. We don't put any kind of thing on it. We start connecting with this. And this one has the ability to transport energy,
yes.
which is what it's been doing its whole life as a tree. What it's done is when the energy sunlight came, it captured it and transmitted it through an optic fiber network which is inside it. It's a very micro network. It's a very fine network. It's almost like an optic fiber network. And we have an optic fiber network. They are called the gap junctions of cells.
Right.
So if you magnify, if you look at the gap junctions, they have tiny optic fibers. I saw it yesterday. I saw a blown up image of a map junction. It has tiny optic fibers and it has the ability to close and open. Every cell is communicating to every other cell.
Yes.
And when these gap junctions are cut, that's when we get cancer. Because the cell can't communicate, it doesn't know where it is, so it just multiplies inordinately. And it's also
Right.
dehydrated, it's thrown out all its water. The cancer cell is a dehydrated cell. So the more dehydration we have, we're inviting cancer. So these are things that most people don't talk about and they don't really understand. But in our ancient science, we understood this, that the tree has a great connection with us. And then there are certain oils which will maintain those connections. So we put those certain oils and then we're using them with our hands. So our gap junctions, basically what have we taken? Sunlight, but not the visual sunlight. That's why we don't glow. But we do, right? Sometimes we glow.
Yeah.
After a workout, you look like something
Yes.
light is
Yes.
coming out of your face.
Yes.
So
Yes. You feel like
there
it.
is there is ultraviolet light, which we cannot see, it's beyond the visual range. And there's infrared light, which is also beyond the visual range, which is traveling through our body, which we have absorbed from the sun. And remember, when you ask a biologist or a doctor, what is the body made up of? They say cells. It's wrong. Cells are made up of atoms. And therefore, the body is made up of atoms, not of cells. So when we make this
Right.
shift, then we can understand the medicine of the Karlakattai.
Right.
Because or the medicine of movement,
Movement.
because
Yes.
then when we have an atom, there is no atom without an electron cloud, and that is
Yes.
an
Yes.
electric field. Every
Yes.
atom
That's
is an
right.
electric field, every cell has an electric field, and a bunch of cells produces a substantial energy field. And I've been
Yes.
studying this for many years now using an equipment called the BioWell. So in
Right.
that you put your finger in and it takes a reading of your finger, and then it tells you how is the energy in your various internal organs, because nadis, optical fibers inside the body, the gap junctions from every organ are out in your fingers. So you
Right.
can, through your fingers, you can know the health of your internal organs, and it's quite amazing. I've been able to predict people's diseases before that happens using this device.
Wow.
So we can study energy. And so when we get to a quantum level of understanding, and we can feel energy too, it's not like we can't
Mm-hmm.
feel it.
We
We can
can.
feel
Yes.
ultraviolet light, we can feel infrared radiation. So just like that, we can also feel our energy. We put our hands together, and within a few moments, you start feeling something which you might not feel from this box,
Mm-hmm.
but you're feeling very strongly on your other palm. Then you take your hand here, and these are called chakras. These are like wonderful vortices of energy. So you can feel them wherever in yoga they say we have chakras, on top of your head. You take your hand here, you can feel your hand even without touching your head.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on here, right? So just because atoms also have energy, and then the, we are made up of atoms, so we also have an energy. So that is the energy body that we're speaking about. When someone says my battery is low, I don't have energy, I'm feeling tired. They're low on pranic energy. This is called prana, pranamaya kosha.
Yes.
So the prana is low. I uh, I just saw my picture from 1 year ago to now, and I can see that just a glow of prana. Well,
Yes.
my physical measurements have changed too,
Yes.
but it's not just that. There is something different happening there. That is the beauty of what we do. The meipadam, Karlakattai, our ancient ancestors, they figured this thing out. They didn't know the
Mm-hmm.
word quantum physics. They didn't know the word electron. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
know all of that, but they just knew that there's an invisible part. They called it sukshma sharira. Right? There is a sthula sharira, which is our physical part, and there is a
Yes.
sukshma sharira, which is our invisible part. It's not. It's invisible. Doesn't mean it doesn't. You can't feel it, or there's no effect of it. So then our emotions and everything is affecting this energy field. So for us, if we can only concentrate on maintaining that energy field, that's what we're doing with our hands, with our palms.
Yes.
We go on drawing an energy field with the Karlakattai all around us, right?
Yes.
And moving it, moving it, and moving it in various energy fields. And there are these crossover motions from right to left,
Yes.
left to right.
Yes.
A lot of neurologists have been studying it now. This thing that we do in
Yes.
front of Lord Ganesh, we
Yes.
cross and then we do
Yes.
squats. It
Yeah.
stimulates
Yogic squats.
it stimulates the nadi in the legs, and also we have so many examples in Indian workout of cross body motions,
Cross body. Yes. Bilateral movement.
right to
Yes.
left, left to right. So
Yes.
those are
And the figure of
connecting
eight.
at the
The figure of eight. Yes.
the figure of eight. Yeah. So now there are nadis on the left, and these are called Ida, and there are nadis on the right, which is called Pingala. And these two
Mm-hmm.
cross over at each chakra, they kind of cross over. There are crossover patterns of these nadis everywhere. And so when we do this, in every chakra, energy moves from one to the other. So we're moving energy from the Ida to Pingala, Pingala to Ida all the time. And this creates a great connection and a feeling of oneness, which is
Mm-hmm.
what we're missing. We
Yes.
feel very scattered. And if you
Yes.
ask someone, they don't feel like one unit. The legs feel separate, the hands feel separate, neck feels separate, eye feels separate. And they don't know where they are. Some people are out of body. They're not even
Yes.
inside the
And people
body.
exit the body when they don't want to participate. You've explained
Yeah.
that so beautifully in one of this. They just kind of check out.
They check out, so they're not taking the body's inputs. The body's telling you so much, it's telling you, right? If you just sit in your body, so much it's telling you. And we find that uncomfortable because there's a lot of stuff that we're doing that we don't want to do. A lot of stuff we're
Ah,
not doing that we want to do. It's too
right.
painful to think about all that. So we just don't
Yes.
occupy our body. But if you did, then you start taking action upon all these problems that have come up in your fascia, these opposing energies that we're carrying. We got to
Yes.
be aware of that. And that's
Yes.
why when we work out, all of that gets released over a period of time. So somebody who does Meipadam for a year, they've released most of their patterns. They changed as people.
Yes.
They
I'm
you
certainly not the same person who started last year.
yeah. Like I'm talking about fundamentally who you are. You start getting purpose in your life. You start understanding who you are, right? So who are we? Who are we? There's a transmission. It's coming from the sun. The sun is sending it to plants, and we are consuming it either from the plant or from an animal which has consumed the plant. So we're taking that precious thing, which is carbohydrates and fats. They're the sources of energy. They have locked into them sunlight. They have sunlight locked
Mm-hmm.
into them. You should look at your food like packets of
Mm-hmm.
sunlight, and then
Mm-hmm.
you're eating how much packets of sunlight do you need. So you don't need that much. A lot of your packets of sunlight come through your breath,
Right.
because the breath is also uh, drawing in and changing the energy of the body. So it's an internal massage every time you breathe, right?
Yes. And that's why we
It's designed like
combine
that.
the breathing with the movement.
When we combine the breathing with the movement, we amplify the internal massage. Okay,
Right.
now let's try something. Keep our hands like this, okay? And then when I breathe out, I bring my hand down. I breathe in, I bring my hand up. Just lightly. You'll see that when you bring your hand down, you're able to put your intention and drive all the energy down to your toes. Like you'll start becoming aware of your toes. When you push, just coordinating it with your breath. But if you simply move your hands up and down, nothing happens. Or if you only breathe, energy moves only here. wherever you are breathing. But when you coordinate your hands and legs with those energies, now suddenly the energy field is being activated in every corner of your body. That's why people get better hair. That's why they
Yes.
get rid of their toenail fungus, and they get rid of all sorts of things by doing just meipadam. What is this warm-up exercise? People think it's like PT that we have to do, but it's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're drawing sophisticated shapes. We're drawing sophisticated shapes with our hands,
Yes.
which people don't understand what it is. And whether it's meipadam or it's Indian classical dance or any
Yes.
classical martial art, they all have this incorporated. But meipadam has gone in very deep, and more than 2,500 movements
Yes.
have been identified that are essential for the body. And then we keep practicing this every day. And you know what? You don't have to remember these movements.
Your
As you
body
get tuned
remembers.
into the energy, no, you don't have to remember it as a
Yeah,
sequence.
you don't have to
You feel
remember it.
it through.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
whoever the instructor is, they're just
Yes.
connecting to that energy. And as the energy changes, it tells your body what to do.
Yes,
And
I've seen that. That is absolutely amazing. It is magic. That especially the incantation we do at the beginning, the Vanakkam,
yes,
that and when I'm connected to that source, and I think of you as my guru, and I think of you, and I think of the source, it just flows. I don't think I've ever planned any of my workouts,
you should
any of my
not.
workouts. It's
That's the
just
beauty of this
amazing.
art, because we never repeat ourselves. I've taken classes now. I've been taking 5 classes a week, and I've been teaching for 2 years. So that's like 250, 500 classes I would have taken. I've not repeated myself
Yes.
in these 500 classes. It's always a different movement. Where is it coming from? Yesterday this morning I went to the park, and I just started doing my pardon. I went, oh my God, what am I doing? And all around me, I can feel that the energy is changing because I'm standing in nature, and nature has its own sunlight capturing mechanism. I'm standing among trees, and there's such a dance happening over there. I don't know what is happening. And I just came away, and after that, I called my students, I made them sit down, I gave them a lecture on pranayam right there. And I didn't know where it's coming from. It's coming from the nature. The nature taught me. I taught them exactly how to do Nadi Shodhan, and without using their hands like this. I taught them how to do it. And I was like, whoa, that's knowledge for me too. Even I didn't know about this. So when we connect deeper and deeper and deeper, we cease to be just physical objects. We start becoming energy. And then all of the physical objects that are arranged to form our physical body, they're very much malleable and moldable, including your hormones, including everything. It's just like it's in your will to
Yes.
modify these things. So the practice is very important. You shouldn't miss the practice. You should
Yes.
have faith in the practice and the system, our teachers, gurus. Just we connected to a living energy, and you're just
Yes.
getting that electricity as a student. Just take it. Like, don't use your
Yes.
brain too much. It's the hardest part for people now. They need
Yes.
to analyze
Yes.
everything, but you cannot sit and analyze this. You really got to feel the flow.
Yes.
It is phenomenal. It's like nothing I've seen in my life. And I think this is the basis of all spirituality.
Yes.
To make the body a vessel, and this is what yoga says, that you have to practice asana first.
Yes.
And that's what it is. It's physical movement. Earlier asanas were not static. Our son told us that asanas are the resting places in between the movements. But what about the
Ah,
movements? The movements
right.
are the meipadam.
Yes.
How to get from one asana to the other is meipadam.
It's my param.
That
Yes.
internal, that place, there are many paths to get from one asana to another.
Yes. Yes.
And those many paths are all meipadam. So that is
This
that
is
is how Hassan
fascinating.
explained it to me. And
Yes.
when he explained it to me, it just made sense. Like, we're just
Yes.
resting in yoga, but in meipadam, we're moving between those places.
Yes.
Every asana. So then might move from Anushtrasana, we might move to something else. Between Uttanasana on this side, after that, we're doing something else. So they're all there. The asanas are inside the
Yes.
meipadam. But,
Within the practice.
but within the practice, it's hidden within the practice. And that's what asana is. Even when I learned yoga in the mountains, we didn't have any asanas, but we did have movements.
Right.
And that's how we would stay warm, and that's how we would create energy inside our body, just by moving
Yes.
and breathing.
Yes.
Breathing and moving together.
Yes.
And we would have contests on who can melt the most ice
Right.
sitting on the ice, because the body gets so hot that it starts melting ice around you. And my guru, around him, like, just it would be like springtime, even in the middle of winter, because there's so much body heat coming that there would be plants growing around him all the
Wow.
time where he sat to meditate. So that's how much the human body is capable of becoming an energy machine. But we never think of ourselves as energy machines. We think of
No.
ourselves as machines.
Machines, yes.
We don't have the energy. We're just machines. So that's a very wrong perspective. We swallowed the teaching that we're made up of cells, and that cells are a physical, biological material mass. We don't understand cells are made of atoms,
Mm-mm.
and that's very important to understand.
Yes. How should I know we're coming up to the hour? But just one last really important burning question I have that just came into my mind is
Hmm.
that all of the people who say, oh, this exercise is more important, or that exercise is more important, and
Hmm.
this is more vigorous, or you need to build this kind of muscle. In meipadam and Karlakattai, what is the importance of bringing our consciousness to this way of working that you've just explained, the energy body? Because without being conscious of it, I mean, they're also doing some kind of body movement, right, left, they're also breathing and moving. So what is the value and the importance of doing this practice in the conscious way that you've just described, that actually transforms it, that changes it, the way you teach it?
Hmm. No, yeah, it is, of course, important to coordinate your breath with the movement, and that's the only thing you need to be conscious of. The rest of it is just the energy building, and you can feel it.
Right.
So you need to acknowledge it, that I'm feeling energy here, I'm feeling different. So everybody who acknowledges it, they get to the next level in the next class, and the next level in the next class, when they internally acknowledge that these changes are happening. Because energy is very subtle in the beginning, and we're not able to feel it because we're not occupying our body itself. You can't sit somewhere far away thinking about some problem of yours, and then expect to feel energy. So we really have to be present in the class, and that's important.
Yes.
You need to put
And that's
all
the
of your
value of the
troubles.
live class.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
the value of the
You
live
put
class.
all of your stuff at the door, like outside, you know.
Yes.
And what I've also learned, and what I've been experimenting with, I have another equipment called a Sputnik, which attaches to my bio well. And when I place it at the corners of rooms, there's a different energy. When I go to people's houses, not my house, but when I go to other people's houses and I place it there for 25 minutes, there's a very negative energy in the corners of the room, in everybody's house. And that is your thought forms. They go and collect in the corners. So everything we think generates energy. We don't know this, but I can prove it because I got the equipment. I'm like the Ghostbusters. People call me, people call me to their house and they say, there's an entity here, there's a spirit here, can you help me? And I say, okay, sure. And I come with my bio well, and I'm showing them visually, like, see the energy here? It's so dense, gross. Its area is it's very unstable energy. And they see that, they're like, yeah, I can see this. And then I show them another place where maybe the puja room or something. We see the energy there. It's more like gentle and different. So the thing is, even in their house, people have different energies. But while practicing Meipadam, and I'm teaching my students to bring their consciousness to it. You might have, if you've attended my 5D classes,
Mm-hmm.
I'm teaching my students to bring the consciousness to the energy that they're moving even in the house, and getting things out of those corners, and then destroying the pattern, and releasing that energy to be available to form another pattern, modulate in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a frequency, but it can modulate in various ways. So and so why not modulate in a way that is united with everybody else? So the study of energy, there's no end to it. I cannot see an end to this, where this is end. And as I do
Thank
these
you so much. This
meditations,
is like I could just carry on and on talking. It is so
uh,
fascinating. But we are up
are you
to
out of
time,
time?
so we should
Oh,
close.
okay, okay. All right.
Is there anything that you want to tell the audience, tell the women on Women's Day? something that they can take away with them, and change their intention, with regard to their role in their lives, for their joy, for their happiness, for their, sense of contribution,
Yeah.
what can you tell them?
Yeah, I would say that it's very important to manage your time, and in that time, to have at least 2 hours for yourself. And this is the most important thing I can tell women right now. This is the most important thing you can do. Okay, so you know you're going to sleep 7 hours or 6 hours or whatever, and you're going to work for do housework and work, and it's just like you got to divide your family time and everything. But then in that, you just don't spend time with yourself, and that's when you forget who you are. And that's when you start becoming resentful that other people have taken over your life. So it's a very sad thing because there's so much Shakti, there's so much power in a woman. They say that Nari Swarupa is Shakti. So uh, when we worship our goddesses and all, we actually receive energy from them. And you're a living goddess. So you
Yes.
have to say that I'm going to just spend two time, like 15 minutes calming down, connecting with myself, knowing whom I am, just feeling the various energies in my body, and just knowing inside that there is something divine within me. And this is the power that you know women have. And similarly, for men, I do that too. I sit down and meditate for 5 minutes. I know there is Shiva within me.
Yes.
So there is a power of consciousness within me. So we're all divine. Let's not forget that if we come from a divine source, then we are divine too.
Yes.
And when we forget this, that's when all the problems start. Okay, there's a spiritual solution to every problem. And it's that spending 2 minutes with yourself, knowing who you are, comes down to that.
Thank you so much. It has been an absolute delight and a pleasure, and I look forward to talking with you again.
Thank you so much,
Namaskaram.
Dr. Nilma.
Guruji.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank you.
so much.
Bye.
Thank you.